the country whose title I've been so greatly privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty.
Buckingham Palace did not need thunder to feel like it was cracking. It only needed one sentence. According to insider accounts now circulating among royal commentators, King Charles reportedly sat his closest family members down and, for the first time, allegedly explained the real reason he wants to step back from the throne, and it wasn't the reason anyone expected. Before we go further into what these claims actually mean for the royal family, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss how this story develops. Sources close to the palace suggest the meeting was deliberately quiet. No cameras, no aides beyond the most trusted few, no official record beyond what insiders describe as a private conversation. Abdicate, meaning a monarch choosing to give up the throne before death, is a word the palace has never confirmed applies to Charles. But according to these unverified accounts, it was reportedly the exact word used in that room. William, according to sources cited by royal watchers, didn't respond right away. He had spent decades preparing to be king one day, but preparation, insiders suggest, is different from hearing your father describe himself as running out of time. Catherine reportedly noticed something the others missed. Charles allegedly didn't call this a pause or a rest. He is said to have called it the only responsible path, language that, if accurate, would suggest this wasn't a passing mood but a decision already forming for some time. Camilla, according to the same accounts, said nothing. She's described as having stayed still, watching the empty space at the table, allegedly aware that whatever Charles chose next could reshape her own position at the center of royal life, something the palace has never addressed publicly. What's verifiably true, separate from any of these claims, Charles has spoken publicly in the past about health challenges, and the question of eventual succession to William has long been a matter of public record and constitutional planning. What remains unconfirmed is any specific timeline, private conversation, or motive, all of which are presented here as rumor, not fact. But before getting to what allegedly pushed Charles toward this decision, it's worth understanding what this would cost each of them personally, if the claims are true. Charles would not just be a king considering stepping aside, he'd be a father watching his own clock. William would not just be an heir, he'd be a son asked to carry history early. And Catherine, calm as ever in public, would be absorbing a crown that insiders describe as arriving wounded, not whole. According to one account, allegedly shared privately with William, Charles admitted that too many public appearances had quietly cost him more than anyone outside the family realized. Abdication, in this telling, wasn't fear. It was said to be the only path he believed could protect the monarchy from a harder, messier transition later. Here's where the story allegedly turns. Royal insiders claim the real trigger wasn't a single announcement, it was a private rehearsal weeks earlier for a formal state occasion. According to these unconfirmed accounts, Charles reportedly paused mid-sentence, gripped the edge of a table and looked at William in a way that sources say made the room go still. A state occasion like this is a formal ceremonial appearance where the monarch is expected to represent continuity and strength before the public, which is exactly why insiders suggest this particular moment allegedly hit differently than any private conversation could have. William, according to these accounts, moved instinctively toward his father. Charles reportedly raised a hand and stopped him, a small gesture that sources describe as carrying enormous weight. Catherine is said to have caught a glance between Anne and a royal medical advisor in the room, a look insiders claim spoke louder than any official statement could. None of this has been confirmed by the palace, and it's presented here strictly as rumor and speculation, not verified fact about a real living family. That same night, according to sources, Charles allegedly requested that succession planning documents be brought to his private study. Succession papers, meaning the formal materials outlining how royal duties and authority would transfer, are said to have marked what insiders call the real beginning of this decision, though again, none of this has palace confirmation. It's here the story allegedly shifts from private worry to private confrontation. Behind closed doors with no staff and no cameras, Camilla is reported, according to unverified accounts, to have directly asked Charles whether he was choosing the monarchy over their life together. Charles, sources say, didn't raise his voice. That calm, insiders claim, made it worse. The monarchy, meaning the entire system of royal duty, tradition, and public service carried by the sovereign and his family, had reportedly become, in this account, something Camilla feared was competing with her marriage. According to this same account, Camilla allegedly pushed further, asking whether Charles had already pictured William and Catherine standing in his place. Charles is said to have not denied it. A small gesture, reportedly setting his signet ring on the desk for a moment, struck, insiders claim, like a full stop at the end of a sentence neither of them wanted to finish. A signet ring worn as a personal mark of royal identity isn't something removed lightly, which is part of why sources frame this detail as significant, though it remains unconfirmed. Behind that private tension, according to royal commentators, a quieter force was allegedly shaping the timeline all along, not a villain, but what insiders describe as a hidden influencer. Senior palace advisors reportedly building transition frameworks well before any public announcement. Transition planning, meaning the internal groundwork covering how duties and messaging shift from one reign to the next, was allegedly already moving, according to these claims, even as the family was still absorbing the news privately. Whether this is accurate has not been addressed by the palace. Catherine, according to insiders, received her own private briefing around this time, and sources describe her reaction as measured but affected. The claim here is that this wasn't just a family matter anymore. It had reportedly already become something closer to structure and planning, according to accounts that remain unverified. It's in a quieter moment, according to these same sources, that William allegedly told Catherine the truth plainly. He was afraid, not of duty, but of how the public might read it. Would stepping into a larger role while his father was still alive look like taking rather than receiving? Catherine, in this account, is said to have told him that fear couldn't be allowed to lead. Only love and duty together could make the transition feel honest rather than rushed. This private reconciliation, according to insiders, is described as the emotional turning point of the entire story, even though none of the dialogue has been independently verified. Then, according to reports, the story reached the public, not through an official statement, but through leaks and speculation that spread quickly across broadcasters and social media. Some commentators reportedly framed it as an aging king choosing dignity over pride. Others speculated it signaled deeper health concerns the palace hadn't addressed. Palace Communications, the team responsible for shaping official royal messaging, has not confirmed any of these claims, and the public reaction, as described by insiders, ranged from sympathy to skepticism. Crowds reportedly gathered near the palace gates, according to accounts shared by onlookers, some visibly moved, uncertain exactly what they were responding to given the lack of official word. One unconfirmed quote circulating online suggested a bystander said something like, "Maybe stepping back is his greatest act of service," though this too remains unverified and should be treated as color commentary, not fact. In the end, according to these insider claims, the most telling moment wasn't the rumored decision itself, it was how Charles is said to have handled it. Rather than clinging to ceremony or silence, sources suggest he chose, allegedly, to meet William one final time before any formal transition plan moved forward, treating it, insiders claim, less like paperwork and more like a goodbye. Whether any of this reflects reality has not been confirmed by Buckingham Palace, and it should be understood as speculation drawn from anonymous sources, not established fact about the king or his family. If even part of this is true, it wouldn't be a story about weakness. It would be a story about a family trying to protect what comes next, together before the world was ready to watch. Thanks for watching. If you want to see how this story develops, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.